on, fight fans? So Deontay Wilder loses his fight versus Zhang. Um, it's a tough one, right? It's a tough one because Wilder basically carried American heavyweight boxing on his back, right? He was undefeated for so many years, won the WBC title when he beat Bermane Sturburn, came so close to having an undisputed fight with Anthony Joshua, a fight that didn't come to fruition, unfortunately, and may never now after this happen. I think this was the closest that we were to finally seeing Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua. I think unfortunately because of Zhang's win, we're not going to see it. Zhang winning also creates very weird dynamics, like for example, I don't think people want to see him versus Anthony Joshua as much as they wanted to see Wilder versus Anthony Joshua, because Anthony Joshua beat Joseph Parker who beat Zhang, and then also Hrgovic beat Zhang, but then Hrgovic lost to Daniel Dubois, who was completely outboxed by Usyk. Was kind of a little bit too kind of flimsy. There isn't this like consistent person where you're like, oh, this guy might give Anthony Joshua a run for his money, because of all of those different fights. And I get it, the triangle theory doesn't always work, right? Zhang might actually beat Anthony Joshua if they fight. I don't think he would, but we don't know, simply because he lost to Joseph Parker and Hrgovic just lost to Daniel Dubois, and Joseph Parker also beat Wilder, but Joseph Parker already lost to Anthony Joshua. It's just one of those weird things where I personally am not that excited to see Zhang fight Anthony Joshua. Although I do want to see it, I'm not as excited as I would have been to finally see a Wilder versus Joshua fight. The thing is, Wilder hasn't been Wilder in a long time, right? I think the losses to Fury has started to kind of damper his confidence a little bit, and he was never a person who was technically good in the ring anyways, right? He was never a good boxer. He always relied on that right hand and his big risks that he would take. I think it was never a smart idea to start making him like this more calculated boxer, because he won all those fights and he became world champion because he was wild, right? No pun intended. Wilder, no pun intended. But it was because he was wild that he was winning, right? Because he didn't really care about the technical elements of what he needed to do. He just wanted to land that right hand, and that right hand is one of the most powerful right hands in boxing history. So he just wanted to land that, right? And after the Fury fight, it's almost like he started thinking to himself, well, I have to box more, and that's the reason I'm losing. No, you just lost because you fought Fury, right? You lost to Fury. Fury is Fury. That's the reason. And I think that if he would have seen it that way and not look at it as, oh, I lost because I didn't do this and because I didn't do that, and accepted the loss as just the person being the better man, he would have still stayed within himself of who he was in boxing. He's the guy that'll knock you out. Doesn't matter if it's pretty. It doesn't matter if he Euro steps. He's going to knock you out. That's his whole thing. And when he went away from that, you could tell he's not even throwing the right hand with the ferocity that he used to throw it. He's like throwing it halfway sometimes and just kind of like almost tapping you with it because he doesn't want to fully commit, because he doesn't want to put himself in a bad position. But that was the stuff that was getting people out of there, right? When we thought he wasn't going to beat Ortiz, he beat him twice. Not because he was outboxing him. He was losing twice in the fight, but he knocked him out cold every single time because he had that eraser. Wilder had that eraser, and he didn't really tap into that after the Fury fight. Yes, he got, his knockouts versus like lower level competition after the Fury fight. But in terms of the higher level people like the Joseph Parkers and the Zhangs, he wasn't able to tap into that. And I put Ortiz in that same pool of people with, you know, with Zhang and Joseph Parker. People want to discredit Wilder, but Ortiz, no matter how old Ortiz is, man, the dude was an Olympic gold medalist. Like, the dude was a really smart, technical heavyweight boxer that was big, right? He was able to beat a lot of people and outclass a lot of people, and he still was caught with that right hand by Wilder. So after that, I mean, I think Wilder started to just, after the Fury fight, I think Wilder just started to fall off, right? He started to fall off, which is unfortunate. Personally, I don't think he needs to fight anymore. I think that there's nothing else for him that he can do. I don't think that there's nothing else that he needs to prove, right? Yes, he didn't become, one of these super all-time greats in terms of his accomplishments, but he has done great things for the sport of boxing. And in my opinion, he will always be remembered as that guy with that eraser, with that right hand that'll take you out. Kudos to Zhilei Zhang. I like I said, I want to see the fight. If they do it with Anthony Joshua, I prefer Anthony Joshua to fight Zhilei Zhang over Daniel Dubois. But if he picks Daniel Dubois, it doesn't really matter to me. He could pick either one. I would have been more excited for a Wilder fight, but Zhilei Zhang is, he's the man that beat Wilder. So if we're gonna be fair, he should be the one fighting Anthony Joshua. I don't think, even though Daniel Dubois beating Hrgovic was an upset, I don't think that necessarily makes it where he should be the one to fight Anthony Joshua. Although I think for Anthony Joshua to be able to kind of triangulate beating Wilder, even though he doesn't fight him, a Zhilei Zhang fight would be better. Even though technically Anthony Joshua already beat Joseph Parker and Joseph Parker already beat Anthony Joshua. This is what I'm trying to say about the heavyweight division. There's not much clear-cut people at the top where it's like perfectly clean at the, where it's like, man, this fight like really matters. Like, there's not that many people up there. There's only Usyk, really. There's only Usyk that has done that, that is in that space now. So anyways, let me know what you guys think. Did you guys see the fight? I thought the 5v5 system was entertaining because it added an extra element to the fights where it's like, wow, this guy needs to get a knockout instead of just win. Like, he needs to do more so that the points could go up higher or quicker or whatever. There was more to it than just the fights itself. And then all the fights were really good fights, right? We had the Raymond Ford fight against Ball. We had all of these, really good fights. Hrgovic, Daniel Dubois, Bivol. Although the Bivol fight was not, part of the whole card thing or whatever, it was still super cool to see Bivol get in there and get a knockout, right? That was really cool. And we got the announcement that Bivol and Artur Beterbiev will be fighting in October, so that's just fantastic as well. I thought overall, I thought it was a really good night of boxing. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I love the concept. That concept could continue with different types of dynamics. Doesn't have to be, Matchroom and Queensberry. It could be Mexican versus Americans, right? It could be Mexican versus Puerto Rican. They could do anything to make it fun to watch, right? They could do anything to make it fun to watch. The 5v5 the 5v5 or the team up system, I think, works very well and kept it professional. It's not like 5 people versus 5 people and they're tagging themselves in, right? It's not one of those kind of things. It's like everyone's working together. There's an actual monetary prize, right? $3 million, but it's still contained within the professionalism of just 1 versus 1. And of course, there's even more that comes with it because we feel certain things like Dubois beating Hrgovic and Zhang beating Wilder. It's like it's his own fight and it's part of this larger kind of team up thing. I think it was a really good system. It worked, in my opinion. It actually did work. If you guys are wondering who I think the recent GOAT of boxing is, now that we've had all these different heavyweight fights, I talk about it right here. I'll go ahead and see you guys in this video. Peace out.